Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, we're going to do a tier list of the most important debuff in the game. And actually, when I first started playing this game, these champions were few and far between. Now there is just like a massive variety of champions that you can use, and they become some of the most important champions that you can level up to 60 as like a priority on your account. So AOE, decreased defense. If you want to just kind of check out this in a kind of more leisurely way, you can literally come to the hellhades.com site and you can check debuff, quick links, debuff, and then you do decreased defense. You can do it for any debuff, actually, any debuff that you're looking for to try and get a feel for who are the good ones. And you'll see here we list it. Firstly, we say what it does, and then we list it in order: legendaries through epics and rares. And it also lists by the type of decreased defense debuff that they place. So for this particular video, we're going for the big version, 60%, and AOE, which means it hits everybody. Okay, one other thing I'm just going to quickly call out, guys. I have finished Ruel the Huntmaster, but I haven't summoned him. Can anybody guess why? We're saving him. We're saving him for the next champion chase, and we're going to get those juicy 500 points. I keep stressing this, but until everybody in the world understands that, I'm going to keep saying it. Okay, let's do this. AOE decreased defense. Let's start at the bottom. I'm going to kind of go in chunks. So let's call this like the bottom tier of champions for this. We're going to go chunks up. So it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to go up one after one after one in terms of what I think's better. It's just, right, here's the first tranche of champions that are at the bottom of the list for me. Let's start with bottom of the list group, Vala. I'm not going to spend too much time on the bottom, guys, but Vala, why is she lower down? Firstly, she doesn't have a 100% chance to drop defense. And for someone who drops defense, what are we doing with them? We're setting up our damage. And if we can't set up 100% of the people we're fighting, it's just generally weaker. So to start with a 30% chance and only book to 50, she's in the bottom rung. She's only going to drop defense on half if you book her up. Free turn cooldown's not too bad. She hits kind of hard, but still, that 50% massively puts me off. Next one up is pretty much the same thing. Ray. It's on an A1 anyway, so it's going to be like the least priority for her to apply it. And normally with our decreased defense, we want it to be the first ability that our champion uses, yeah? Sets up all of the other damage. So Ray doing it on an A1. This is like, it's a nice to have as a top up, but she's not going to be your decreased defense champion unless you are literally insane. 50% chance if you book it. It does hit kind of nice, hits reasonable amounts. The rest of her kit's way better though. So she is in the bottom rung. Next one up is one of the new champions, and it is a Boru. Bottom rung, she's void, so she can place it on everybody. She hits kind of hard, but her one is very situational. So 40% chance of placing decreased defense, books to 50, and will attack all enemies if the targets are under 4 or more debuffs. That means loads of other people would have had to have goad, place debuffs before she even thinks about it. So for me, just not worthwhile. Next one in this group is going to be Delver. A bit of an upgrade from the ones we've spoken about so far. So attacks all enemies. She has got she will place decreased defense if Weaken's already out there. Now, this is better than what we've seen so far because it's a full AoE place, but still, it means someone else has to go first, place an AoE Weaken. There's actually not that many champions that place AoE Weaken anyway. If you've got one that you know you're going to be using, like a Seer or somebody, then it's worthwhile, but otherwise, she's kind of weak for doing this. Okay, let's keep moving. We have got Big Boy. A lot of people probably got him. Vergum the sausage dog. So he's actually got a decent chance to place his. So AoE ability, needs books here. Places a 60% decreased defense for 2 turns on enemies who have had 2 or more buffs removed. So this ability here is removing buffs, but it's only got a 75% chance of removing buffs. Okay, and then if you do remove 2 or more, then he's going to place his decreased defense. Again, very situational. It's kind of okay. Maybe in arena this is okay, but again, bottom rung for me because it's too situational. My new lovely lass, going on a date next week. Awesome champion, but in terms of decreased defense, not so great. So she's got an AOE ability here. Can be on a 3-turn cooldown, but she'll only place her decreased defense if the enemy's attack is equal or lower to their defense. Okay, so places decreased speed, debuff, and a decreased defense for 2 turns on targets whose attack is equal or lower to their defense. Now, for the arena against like defensive-based champions, this can work. Almost all content, even if you're facing waves of defensive champions, for some reason, they're coded to have a much higher attack, which means that generally you do this first part, which is a decreased attack ability. It's not bad, but it's not what we're talking about here. So again, way too situational, and actually, more often than not, she won't place that ability. Okay, and the last one up then in this kind of bottom tranche of people is going to be Suzerain. Suzerain, again, good for other things, but in terms of his defense break, he's got an AoE here. Only a 50% chance books to 80. So again, we've not got that 100% of placing Weaken. Places decreased defense for 2 turns if Weaken is not placed. This is a kind of funny situational one where you probably don't want to book this because you don't want the Weaken to place. You want decreased defense to place. So you can actually save yourself the extra, 30% chance of it not placing decreased defense if you were going to use him for this. But again, for me, way too situational. Bottom group of champions to do this. And for me, I wouldn't use him for it. So let's go up for the next tier then. Still ropey. We're still at ropey. We've gone from like bad to ropey, and then we're going to get into the better stuff soon. So if I had a drawing of this, the tier list, I would write ropey straight on it. Next one up, Stoffus. Mr. Green. Or blue, whatever. Right, what we got? AoE ability. Thumbs up for that. 50% chance unbooked. Books up to 75. Again, we're not hitting everyone. A bit like Valor, a bit better now. 75% chance to place a decreased defense. It's just not good enough. We've got rares that do it 100%. He should be at 100% as well. And then he would be actually a much better champion. But Stoffus, first of the ropey crew. Okay then, next one in the ropey crew is going to be Dagger. Dagger's actually a rare, so she's easier to book. She's got some good other skills, like an AoE decrease attack. So generally, for a rare, she's actually really good. In terms of her decreased defense ability, and that's what we're judging people on right now, 50% chance unbooked, 75% chance booked. Again, we're just not hitting enough people with 100%. And her actual defense is low, which means if we do start taking hits because we didn't kill 1 or 2 of these champions, chances are she's taking a bit of a rest and laying down for the rest of the fight, and she's not going to be dropping defense on the next wave of enemies. So for me, although she's a good champion, she still lacks that 100% decreased defense, which is all so important with this sort of stuff. Next one's basically the same. Fleshmonger, basically exactly the same camp. AoE, 100%, needs books to get to the AoE, big version, but needs books just to get to 75% chance. Now, for me, he's almost a necessity for Skinwalkers because Skinwalkers just do not have many champions that can do that skill at all. So he does become good for that. And I guess for Bannerlords, you've got a few better ones. So, Fleshmonger might be more relevant to level out because you need him for your Skinwalkers. But in terms of just in the game, decreased defense, he is in the ropey group. And I've got one more. Now, this is a weird one for me. I feel bad bringing him into this ropey group because he's actually like a crazy champion. Roxanne looks sweet, by the way, but he's a crazy champion with awesome abilities, awesome buffs. He's got some stunnage going on his A2. It's just got good skills. But his AoE decreased defense, which also comes with a weaken, which is going to be, you'll see when we get to the top tier guys, the rest of them all in the top tier. This guy, no, he's not, because he needs setup. He needs a perfect veil on him, or a veil on him, to do his AoE ability, and his AI is also just dumb. He does abilities in stupid orders. So until we're able to fix that ourselves and decide when people are going to do stuff, And or unless you've got someone that places a veil before he goes, then he actually drops down into that ropey tier, which is a real shame. If you were using him on something like Clan Boss, then you know what? Once things settle down, he gets veils every time he does an ability. So once you do the first ability yourself, after that you go on auto, and he's fine. He's absolutely fine. He'll be a great champion for you. But unfortunately, I just don't love the fact that they've put this. It should be places a veil on himself and then does the ability, in my opinion. Then he'll be as top tier as he should be. So Roxanne in the last of the ropies. Now we've got the mid tier, the average. The average, but now we're up to average, but these are still good. Like, you can use any of these now. From now on, these are all good champions. So we're going to start with the obvious one. War Maiden, farmable rare. Anybody could get War Maiden, and anybody can book their War Maiden. It just takes time. Yeah, you can come into campaign level, enjoy yourself a bit of campaign, you get a slightly higher chance to get your War Maiden on harder levels, but it's not a lot in it, to be honest. Not that one, it's this one. You go into the Deadlands, there she is in all her glory, and you farm the Deadlands. You just farm it up until you drop one, and you're like, yes, finally my decreased defense champion. Then you just need to farm a bunch more. Once you've got her, and you've got her booked, she becomes a 100% chance. 100% chance with books to drop defense, and you can book it down to a 3-turn cooldown. 3-turn cooldown is really strong for wave content because you just cycle it back so fast. And she prioritizes this as her first ability. She's kind of weak. Like, she takes hits, she's going to go down, so you've got to build her stats up a bit in health from that. And you do need to get her accuracy up, like with all of these, to land these abilities. So War Maiden starts to come up in that next tier now. She's in the goods. Next one that's going to join her there is going to be Tomb Lord. Now, Tomb Lord is actually a great champion, okay? Really good champion. The reason why he comes into this group, you need to book him again to get to 100%. This is on a 5-turn cooldown. His AOE decreased defense ability is on a 5-turn cooldown. If it's booked, it's too long. If they reduced this by one more turn, even if it was with another book, one more turn cooldown, he would fly up the tiers to the next group. But at the moment, he doesn't. This ability also drops turn meter. It also places decreased attack. And if he does the drop turn meter part, he gets another turn. So actually, the 5 becomes 4 if he drops turn meter. But enemies have got to be less than half health for this to work. So if you're fighting bosses, it's kind of like the second half of the fight, really. But obviously, it doesn't work against Dragon, doesn't work against Clan Boss, etc. So they, more often than not, you are on a 5-turn cooldown. He does bring poison and stuff as well. He's a great champion. It's just a long cooldown, which is why he comes in the middle group. It is a places decreased attack and decreased defense. So you don't get weak hits. It won't possibly miss. The only way it misses is that 3% chance, which everybody's got. So actually, good champion. In the first, second of the good group. And in the third, it's maybe controversial, but for me, Zardgala comes into that same bunch. Bit squishy, hits hard, AoE decreased defense, triple hit here. After the first hit, 50% chance, books to 75 to place it. So you get a good chance to place it, and then you can reactivate it quickly when she kills people with this A2. So I think she's on that same sort of level. She can get round to it really quickly and do it more often than most champions, but the 75% puts her down a bit, and the squishiness puts her down a bit. Okay, let's get up to the next group. We're now into like the strongs. These are the strong champions. Any of these will do. Any of these is absolutely fine. All of them great champions here. So first one up, Abyss. Even better since they buffed her from 75% chance booked to 100% booked. It's a massive buff. It now means she's totally viable. She can weak hit with this, so it's possible that if you're going up against Spirit Affinity champions, that she won't land it, which is a shame. But there's a lot of people in this same group that have got that same negative point, really. Otherwise, she smacks with other abilities, and this is a great debuff. So she's quality for this ability. Quality now. Next one up is going to be the Dwarf. Dwarf they added in. I don't have him yet myself. Football. The only Dwarf with an AOE decreased defense worth having. There is like weak source version Kurzad here, the savior of the arena. But yeah, football, great epic for the Dwarf factions. They needed this. 100% chance to place it. To land it. Can weak hit again. So same thing. 4-turn cooldown is okay. It's not brilliant, but it's okay. Good base stats. Football is decent here. We've then got, I'm surprised I talked about Tyrell this early, but I do. I feel like he's in the same camp. 100% chance when booked of placing your decreased defense. 4-turn cooldown, same as football. There's also this additional chance that he can place asleep if someone's under decreased attack, but it's very conditional, so I don't really ever consider that as a kind of major thing. He does have a good kit otherwise. Like outside of the decreased defense, he's got a good kit. He's solid. Can weak hit with it though, so he kind of goes in that same group, same buckets. And in the same faction here, we've got the Huntsman as well. Basically the same. AOE decreased defense. Now this is a 100% chance if he does a crit. Okay? So, two things you have to be aware of here. Firstly, he needs 100% crit. He needs that anyway, because that's what he's all about, doing a lot of damage. 100% crits needed, and he can weak hit. So you kind of got two conditions that it wouldn't land, but pretty much if you build him right, you're just talking about, is he going to weak hit? If he weak hits, then obviously he won't land it. Now, the reason why he's in this bucket here, mainly because there's a lot of magic affinity champions in the game, so he's got probably a higher chance of weak hitting than most. But still, he's in that same group. Okay, so next one on the list, similar sort of reason really. Denzin, another great decreased defense champion, 100% chance to land it. He also gets himself a bit of turn meter fill, so that's kind of nice. 3-turn cooldown, which is great, so he's kind of a bit better than the ones we just talked about. And again, you can weak hit with him. So Denzin up there as solid in this regard. And we've got an orc as well, Mr. Robar. He's a bit slow. He's very slow. He does hit hard. He's got very low defense as well. But his decreased defense, 100% chance to land if you book him. 3-turn cooldown, which is good. And then we've got one more as well, who is one of the new champs. Gorlos Helmore. AOE, decreased defense. Again, 100% chance. 3-turn cooldown. It's decent. Decent, but can weak hit. So let's go up into the next tier then. So we're getting to the real top champions now. Got a group in here which are all very, very solid. So we've got to the point now, we're at top draw. All of these absolutely like brilliant champions. Coroner. AOE decreased defense. He's a void champion, so the chance of him not landing it is very low. 100% chance to land it. He doesn't need books to land this ability. He's one of the few champions in the whole game. Near enough every single champion, apart from 2, I think, need books to get to 100% chance to land decreased defense. So this is extremely rare, but it is on a 4-turn cooldown, even booked. So it's a bit slow, but he's void, which means he's going to land it unless he gets a 3% random chance to resist. We've got the new champion, who I don't think it's possible. I don't know if it's possible for anyone to have him yet. Gumlock, I don't think it is. But when we do get him, AOE decreased defense and weaken. Yeah, 100% chance, 4-turn cooldown. The reason why he's in this group is because he brings that weaken as well, which is such a strong ability. And he's also got a chance to drop turn meter, but he can weak hit. But yeah, solid champion for doing this. Go on to the second champion in this list that doesn't need books for this. Madame Miss Legendary herself. AOE decreased defense, 4-turn cooldown. Also brings you decreased attack, which is a huge debuff to come alongside it. And she doesn't need books to be at 100% chance to land it. And she's going to steal all the buffs from anyone as well. It's just, this ability is bonkers, considering it doesn't need books. So yeah, Madame is up there with this group. We've also got then, in here as well, Spider. Spider is like the unsung hero for decreased defense. We don't see him a lot. He's up there in this kind of real high tier. He has got 60% chance of placing books to 100 decreased defense. Why is that important? It's the wording, placing. He doesn't have to hit. Okay? which means that he can do it as a weak hit, no problem. It's not going to be a weak hit. So always do this. 100% chance. Also 70% chance of placing small version, weaken at the same time. This is huge to get your damage away. Spider. Don't sleep on him. He's actually really good. Okay, next one up. I'm on the edge because he only brings decreased defense. But it's 100% chance to land, and it's on a 4-turn cooldown. But the decreased defense cannot be resisted. This is massive. Means that you don't get that 3% chance of the random resist, so you will always land it 100% of the time. If you've got this booked, he will land decreased defense. But he can weak hit, and he's a spirit affinity champion. So if you're going up against magic affinity champions, say in the arena, he can weak hit, which means it won't land. So he's in this next tier down for me. Like second tier this is. Second from, one from top. Same group of champions. We've got Stag, the Knight, AOE decreased defense. You only get this to 95% chance to land. You have to take the mastery, I think it's called Sniper, that gives you another 5%. So you have to take that mastery to get this to 100, and it's well worth taking that mastery in the support tree. So yeah, so Stag Knight, decreased defense, decreased attack, and he comes around to it pretty quick. So this is on a 3-turn cooldown when booked. So it makes it really effective. So Stag's one of the best. Another one of the best is Udo. What a champion. AOE decreased defense. Again, 3-turn cooldown, 100% chance to land it. Can weak hit, same as most of these. But she's also bringing block buffs at the same time. And this ability is incredibly good for Faction Wars and Doom Tower. So depending on where you're using people is how you choose which one you want to use. But she's up there, top tier, quality, decreased defense champion. Okay, we've also got in this same group. Where is he? The Deacon. The Deacon, one of my faves in this group. AOE decreased defense, 100% chance when booked. 3-turn cooldown, so you cycle it quick. Cycle it even quicker because his A3 on a 3-turn cooldown is a turn meter fill and an extra turn ability. So he's just constantly working through these abilities. He gets this back quicker than any other decreased defense champion in the game. Quicker than any. It's insane. So that's why he's up there with this top group of champions. We've also got then one of the newer ones. Sakia, Flame Tongue. Her AI is wonky at best. She does an HP burn here on her A3. She then should do, when more than 2 enemies have got HP burn, she'll do decreased defense and weaken. Okay, as long as the burns are out there. And then she'll blow up some burns. So she does a lot of damage. She does 2 of the best debuffs in the game. If her AI was not just kind of random all over the place, then she'd be probably in the top group. But she can weak hit here. There is a chance that she doesn't place your decreased defense. But great champion. Great for this group of champs. And then one more for this group is going to be Duke. Interestingly, I made this same video nearly 12 months ago. And there are so many new champions in this kind of group. It's great because it's such an important skill. And it's great to see so many kind of fighting for those top spots. But Duke the Pierced here. 3-turn cooldown, 100% chance to place your debuff. Also places decreased attack like Stag. The one thing I don't like about him is his A3 is just a bit rubbish. And he prioritizes his A3 right now. Honestly, if we get to the point where we can control abilities, for me, I basically just turn this off. I would turn this off 100% of the time. And then he'd be even better. But yeah, AOE decreased defense and attack is super good. So, we're on to the elite, the S tier, the SS tier, whatever you want to call it, the top group, the godlikes. Who have we got? 3 champions to talk about. I'm sure you know who they all are. First one up, no particular order here, guys. They're all insane. Draco, AOE decreased defense and weaken. One of the other champions that does not need books to get this to 100%. It's massive. So he can literally, straight out the shard, he can do this. Level 1, he can do it as long as you put some accuracy in his gear. Brilliant. Gives you the weaken as well, which means you're doubling down on that damage, which is awesome. And 3-turn cooldown is great as well. So absolutely brilliant for doing this. Because it's places, he can do it on any affinity, no problem. So he can play anywhere. Next one up in this top tier group is going to be Venus. Venus, Void, legendary champion. You expect them to be good. She definitely is. AOE, decreased defense and weaken. Because she's Void, you don't have that affinity battle. You're just going to land it everywhere, apart from the 3% chance to not land. 100% when she's booked. She also brings a ton of other cool stuff as well. But yeah, Venus in that top group. And then we got one more. One more that's added since I last did this type of video. I'm sure you know who it is. She's incredibly difficult to get. You cannot pull her from shards. But Lydia, the Death Siren. I love this champion, and I don't feel like she's overpowered. I feel like she's the right type of power for someone who's this difficult to get. AOE, decreased defense and weaken. 100% chance, Void legendary as well. So again, no affinity battles. But she's also bringing 2 massive buffs to your team, strengthen and speed. So, great champion. She doesn't hit very hard. She's not about damage. She's all about placing this and letting the rest of your team do their work. But there you go, guys. That is my tier list. That is my group of decreased defense champions. Let me know if I've put someone completely out of sync for where you would have done. Comments below. But make sure you get one of these leveled up to 60 as soon as you can, and then you will find this game tons easier. I've been Hell Hades. I will see you later.